Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Visit our TikTok shop and website. Listen and subscribe to our health and wellness podcast channel at Apple and Spotify. Stay healthy and thank you for watching.
Dear partners, because our speaker for tonight is known for breaking down complex from health topics into powerful, practical steps that people can use right away. So, very accommodating ang ating doctor. He guides every patient through hormone imbalance, detoxification, metabolism boosting, reduction, and holistic healing using natural evidence solution that truly make a difference. Okay. So prepare to be inspired because our speaker for tonight is a well-known and international speaker as well. And let's all give our loudest virtual welcome to our partner doctor, none other than Christopher John Songkuan.
Yeah,
Doc
hello.
good
Good evening.
evening.
Narinig niyo po ako, Ma'am Hannah, and to all
Yes
our
po.
audience.
Loud
Okay,
and
so
clear.
let
Ayan.
me share my slides po muna before we
Share
start
po.
po, no?
Ang init. Ang init sa Pilipinas, masarap sa Korea.
For a while lang po.
Nakakamiss yung weather doon. Ayan.
For a while lang po.
Yan, take your time.
Yan. Nakikita na po ba yung slides po natin?
Yes, Doc. Ano lang po,
Okay, i-ano ka na lang,
slideshow.
slideshow. Yan. So, napakaganda po yung topic po natin ngayon. So, siguro marami pong interested with our topic kasi when I was asking Sir Lem about kung ano yung magiging topic po natin ngayon, we all know that chronic kidney diseases or kidney disease as of this time is talagang grabe. So, ang dami pong nagpapadialysis, and at the same time, ang nangyayari po kasi is more on ang daming nadadiagnose din. Okay po? So, okay. Good day everyone. So, and welcome to our Zoom seminar. Okay, this is entitled Understanding Kidney Disease, the Pathophysiology, Management, and Prevention. Okay, so first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Okay, so today, your presence here means that you value your health, and that alone is already a very important step toward prevention and wellness. So whether you are here for yourself, for a family member, what else? For a patient, or simply to learn more, I truly appreciate your effort and willingness to understand this very important health condition. So kidney disease is often called a silent disease, no? Kasi ang dami-daming mga tao that do not notice the symptoms until the condition is already advanced. So our kidneys play a very important role in the body. So they help filter toxins, regulate blood pressure, balance electrolytes, what else? Support red blood cell production, no? So, and maintain overall health. So kapag hindi maayos ang function ng kidneys po natin, maraming systems ng katawan ang naapektuhan. So, including the heart health, blood pressure, metabolism po natin, energy levels, and even mental well-being. So today, kidney disease continues to affect millions of people worldwide, especially patients with diabetes, hypertension, obesity, or unhealthy lifestyle habits. or even kapag na-stress tayo, kung chronic stress na, and poor dietary patterns. Unfortunately, many individuals only seek medical attention once symptoms become severe. Kaya napakahalaga ng awareness po, no? Prevention or early detection. So through proper education like this, yung ginagawa po natin dito sa NanoCell, Zoom topics po natin or science forum po natin, uh, ina-advise po natin ang mga lifestyle changes, regular monitoring, and timely intervention. So we can help reduce complications and improve quality of life. So this science forum na ginagawa po natin is not only about discussing disease, no? It is about empowering people through knowledge. The more we understand kidney health, the more we can make better decisions for ourselves and for our loved ones as well, no? And small changes in our daily habits such as proper hydration, balanced nutrition, blood sugar control, blood pressure management, exercise or physical activity, good sleep, and stress reduction can already make a big difference in protecting our kidneys. So I also want everyone to remember that having kidney problems does not automatically mean losing hope, no? Marami pa ring paraan para maagapan, ma-manage, at mapabuti ang kondisyon ng isang tao through proper guidance kung meron po sila nito, itong kidney disease. What else? Medical care or lifestyle medicine and holistic support. So, early action is always better than delayed treatment. So, as we go through today's topic, I encourage everyone to listen openly or ask questions and participate actively. So this is a safe learning space po para sa atin where we can better understand how to take care of our kidneys and overall metabolic health. So again, thank you so much for attending and supporting this uh, science forum. So I truly appreciate your time, trust, and willingness to learn with us today. So sana po ay marami kayong maging learnings and practical insights that you can apply not only for yourselves, but also for your families and communities. So let us all continue promoting awareness, prevention, and healthier living. So thank you everyone and let us begin po. Okay. Okay, what are kidneys? So, our kidneys are two bean-shaped organs para siyang shape ng bean located at the lower back area of our body. So, one on each side of the spine. So, even though they are small, approximately the size of a fish, parang ano po natin, kamaon, no? They perform very powerful and life-sustaining functions every single day. So, in simple terms, the kidneys act as the body's natural filtration and balancing system. So one of the main functions of the kidneys is filtering the blood, okay? And removing waste products. So every day, yung kidneys po natin nag-filter po siya about 150 to 180 liters of blood. So they help remove toxins, excess fluids, chemicals, and waste products through urination or through pag-ihi po natin. So these waste materials come from the food we eat. So what else? Medications, metabolic processes, and toxins from the environment. Without proper kidney function, this waste can build up in the body and may lead to fatigue, swelling, nausea, difficulty breathing, confusion, and serious complications. Okay. So another very important role of the kidneys is regulating the blood pressure, of course. Of course, the kidneys help control the blood pressure through a hormone and enzyme system called renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system or RAAS. So, kapag bumababa ang blood flow or blood pressure po natin, the kidneys release an enzyme called renin. Okay. So this activates a chain reaction that helps constrict the blood vessels and retain sodium and water, leading to an increase in blood pressure. That is why po kapag may kidney problem po yung isang patient po natin, tumataas din po yung blood pressure po nila. Okay? So, ah ito po ay si kidney po and blood pressure is very closely connected. So high blood pressure can damage the kidneys and damaged kidneys can further worsen hypertension. So palagi namin dinidiscuss ni Dr. Ariel Byron, no, yung kung how to prevent. Pero paano po natin malalaman kung hindi natin alam kung paano nagkakaroon ng hypertension or paano po nadadamage yung kidneys. That is why napaka-importante po na pag-aralan din po natin kahit simple physiology kung ano po yung nangyayari po sa katawan po natin. Okay? So the kidneys are also essential in maintaining electrolyte balance in the body. So electrolytes sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, ano pa po, phosphate, or even bicarbonate are carefully regulated by the kidneys. So these electrolytes are important for nerve function, muscle contraction, heart rhythm, hydration, and acid-base balance. Okay, for example, potassium is very important for normal heart function. So, if potassium becomes too high because the kidneys cannot remove it properly, it may lead to dangerous heart rhythm abnormalities. So, kaya kung minsan pinapacheck po ng doktor yung mga electrolytes levels po natin, no? Kasi we need to know kung mataas po ba ang potassium levels or even yung sodium content po ng katawan po natin. As I've said po kanina na ang potassium levels kung at an alarming levels na po siya, it can affect heart rhythm abnormalities. What else? Sodium balance also affects fluid retention and blood pressure control. So in addition, the kidneys help regulate the body's fluid balance. They determine how much water should stay in the body and how much should be removed through urine kapag umiihi na po tayo. So kapag sobra ang tubig sa katawan, maaaring magkaroon ng edema or pagmamanas po, no? Or pamamaga, especially sa legs, face, or even dun sa lungs po natin. So kapag kulang naman, nagkakaroon po tayo ng dehydration. Okay. Excuse me po. So the kidneys also function as an endocrine organ. So nilagay ko po dito, it can produce hormone because they produce important hormones. So one major hormone is called erythropoietin or EPO. So this hormone stimulates the bone marrow to produce red blood cells or RBC. That is why pansin nyo po sa mga relatives po natin or may mga pasyente po tayong nagda-dialysis, nagre-recommend po yung doktor ng erythropoietin. So, dahil nga po para sa red blood cells po yun. So, kapag mahina ang kidneys, bumababa po kasi ang production ng erythropoietin, no? So, which can lead to anemia. So, kapag pansin nyo po, may mga chronic kidney diseases or may kidney problem, mabababa po yung mga ano po nila, red blood cells, hemoglobin, or even hematocrit levels. So, this is why many kidney disease patients experience weakness or kung minsan nahihilo pa sila or kung minsan nagdideliryo pa or madaling mapagod or even pale po yung skin po nila. So another important role of the kidneys is the activation of vitamin D. So nilagay ko po dito na kaya po niyang i-produce po yun sa hormone. So kidneys convert inactive vitamin D into its active form called calcitrol. Okay, so active vitamin D helps the body absorb calcium properly and maintain healthy bones and teeth. So kapag may kidney disease po, ang vitamin D activation sa katawan po nila nagdi-decrease, no? Which may contribute to weak bones, osteoporosis, muscle weakness, and mineral imbalances. So overall, the kidneys are not only responsible for producing urine, so they are vital organs that help maintain balanced circulation, metabolism, hormone production, blood health, bone health, and overall survival po. Kaya napakahalaga na alagaan natin ang ating kidneys through healthy lifestyle habits, proper hydration, balanced nutrition, blood pressure and blood sugar control, regular physical activity or exercise, and adequate sleep or stress management po and routine medical checkups. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, the scale of kidney disease. So disease is now considered a major global health concern, affecting millions of people worldwide. So according to global health data, approximately 850 million people worldwide are living with some form of kidney disease. So this shows that kidney disease is not a rare condition. So it is a growing silent epidemic affecting people of all ages and background. So in the United States alone, around 37 million adults or approximately 14% of the adult population are living with chronic kidney disease or CKD. So what is even more alarming is that out of 10 people with CKD do not even know they have it. So this is because kidney disease can progress silently or for many years without obvious symptoms. So many patients only discover the condition once kidney function has significantly declined. So this highlights the importance of awareness, early screening, and preventive health care. So the risk factors such as diabetes, hypertension, obesity, kung tumataba po tayo or even kumakain po tayo ng unhealthy diet, kung nag-i-smoke po tayo, if we are having this chronic stress or even sedentary lifestyle, continue to increase worldwide. So this contributes to the growing number of kidney disease cases. Okay? So kapag hindi naagapan, ang kidney disease can eventually lead to complications such as heart disease, anemia, fluid overload, electrolyte imbalance, and even kidney failure requiring dialysis or transplant. So globally, kidney disease is now recognized as one of the leading causes of death. Okay, in fact, studies project that chronic kidney disease may become the fifth leading cause of years of life lost by 2040. So if preventive measures are not strengthened. Okay? So this is why education and awareness seminars or even health forum like this are very important. So the good news is that kidney disease can often be prevented or slowed down through early detection. So, or even lifestyle modification, blood pressure and blood sugar control, proper hydration, etc. So, ang kaalaman tungkol sa kidney health ay isang malaking hakbang para maiwasan po natin ang mas malalang komplikasyon sa hinaharap. Okay, next slide. What is kidney disease? Okay, isinamarize ko lang po ng dalawang columns po ito no para mas lalo po nating maintindihan. So, ang kidney disease po ay refers to a condition where the kidneys become damaged and are no longer able to properly filter blood, remove waste products, balance fluids, or even electrolytes, or even regulate the blood pressure and support the other important body functions. So kidney disease can be temporary or long-term. So depending on the cause and severity. So the two major types are acute kidney injury or the AKI and the chronic kidney disease or the CKD. So kung may magtatanong po, Doc, ano po ang acute kidney injury? Actually, ang AKI is a sudden decline in kidney function that happens within hours to days. Okay? In AKI, the kidneys suddenly become unable to filter waste products and excess fluids effectively. So the good thing about AKI is that it is often reversible. with prompt treatment if recognized early. So, common causes po nito ay kapag nade-dehydrate po tayo or kung minsan nagkakaroon po tayo ng infection or even certain medication, especially pain relievers or nephrotoxic drugs, no? Urinary obstruction such as kidney stones or enlarged prostate. Ano pa po, yung low blood pressure or decreased blood flow to the kidney. So AKI is usually diagnosed through a rapid rise in serum creatinine, okay? Or even decreased urine output. So patients may experience symptoms such as decreased urination, swelling, fatigue, nausea, shortness of breath, or confusion. Dahil mabilis ang progression po ng AKI. So it requires urgent medical attention to prevent permanent kidney damage. Okay. So maliwanag po ang AKI. Proceed naman po tayo sa chronic kidney disease or CKD. Ang CKD po is a progressive loss of kidney function over months to years. Unlike AKI po, no, the CKD is usually irreversible and the main goal of treatment is to slow down progression and prevent complications. So CKD is defined as kidney damage, okay? Or a decreased glomerular filtration rate of less than 60 for 3 months or more. Okay, so the most common causes of CKD are diabetes mellitus, hypertension or high blood pressure, glomerulonephritis, hindi ko na po na-include, pwede rin pong chronic infections, or long-standing kidney injury. So, one dangerous aspect of CKD is that it is often called a silent disease, no? Because many patients do not experience symptoms until the later or the latter stages. Okay? Kapag advanced na, patients may develop swelling, weakness, anemia, high blood pressure, electrolyte imbalance, or even nahirapan na po silang huminga, difficulty of breathing, or even eventually kidney failure requiring dialysis or transplant. Okay. So in summary po, ang AKI po is a sudden and often reversible, while the CKD po is a gradual and usually permanent. So that is why prevention po, early detection, healthy lifestyle, proper hydration, blood pressure and blood sugar control, or even regular medical checkups are very important in protecting kidney health. Okay. Let's proceed to the risk factors. Okay. So there are many factors that can increase a person's risk of developing kidney disease. So some are related to lifestyle, while others are caused by medical conditions or even genetics. No, understanding this risk factor is very important because early prevention can help protect kidney function and reduce complications. So that is why I put it here, diabetes mellitus. So diabetes is one of the leading causes of CKD worldwide. So high blood sugar levels can damage the small blood vessels in the kidneys. So over time, so ang nangyayari po, it affects their ability to filter waste properly. No, kapag uncontrolled ang diabetes, mas mataas ang risk ng kidney failure. Okay, pangalawa po, hypertension or high blood pressure. So, it puts extra strain on the blood vessels of the kidneys, and over time, this can damage kidney tissues and reduce kidney function. So, at the same time, damaged kidneys can also worsen blood pressure, creating a harmful cycle. What else? Obesity or metabolic syndrome. So, yun po yung dun sa family history. So, pwede rin po yun. So, excess body weight increases inflammation or insulin resistance or even blood pressure. So, all of which contribute to kidney stress. So, obesity is also associated with fatty liver disease, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, which further increase kidney risk. Ano pa po, unhealthy diet. So, I think hindi ko na in-include dito po, pero nasa isip ko lang kasi ang diet high in processed food or excessive salt or even sugar, unhealthy fats, and soft drinks can contribute to hypertension, diabetes, or inflammation. No, excess sodium intake may increase fluid retention and blood pressure. So putting stress on the kidneys as well. Ano pa po? Smoking and excessive alcohol intake. So kapag smoking damages blood vessels and decreases blood flow to the kidneys. That is why, or even alcohol in excessive amounts may contribute to dehydration, liver disease, or even metabolic problems that can indirectly affect kidney health. Ano pa po? Dehydration, or sa iba frequent use of certain medications like such as yung mga long-term or excessive use of pain relievers, no, such as yung mga NSAIDs, certain antibiotics, and yung iba overdosing na herbal or unregulated supplements may damage also the kidneys. So self-medication without proper guidance can increase also kidney risk. What else? Family history or genetics. So, or ethnicity and other factors. Yun po yung nilagay ko po dito. No? So, people with a family history of kidney disease, hypertension, or diabetes may have a higher risk of developing kidney problems. So, some kidney diseases are hereditary. Okay? Meron pa pong aging or chronic infections or even autoimmune diseases. Ano pa po, sedentary lifestyle and chronic stress. So, or even cardiovascular disease, no? So, in summary, many kidney disease risk factors are preventable and manageable. Kaya mahalaga ang healthy lifestyle, proper nutrition, regular exercise or physical activity, hydration, ano pa po, stress management, or routine laboratory monitoring and regular medical check-up. So, early awareness and prevention are key to protecting our kidneys health and improving overall quality of life. Okay, major causes of CKD. Ang chronic kidney disease po ay isang kondisyon kung saan unti-unting humihina po kasi ang function ng kidneys. So yung organs na responsible sa pag-filter ng dugo or pagtanggal ng waste at pag-control ng fluid at blood pressure. So ito po ang mga major causes ng CKD. So nilagay ko po dito ang diabetic nephropathy. So ito ang pinaka-common cause po, no. Kapag matagal na mataas ang blood sugar sa diabetes na condition, sinisira nito ang maliit na blood vessel sa kidneys. So parang napuputol ang filter system. Kaya unti-unti pong tumatagas ang protein sa ihi or tinatawag po natin yun, na proteinuria at humihina po ang kidney function po natin. Okay, pangalawa po, meron po tayong tinatawag na hypertensive nephrosclerosis. So dulot naman ito ng chronic high blood pressure. So kapag laging mataas po ang BP, BP po natin, nai-stress ang blood vessels ng kidneys. So sa tagal, tumitigas at numinipis ang ugat. So kaya bumababa ang blood flow at nasisira ang kidney tissue. Parang overwork filter na unti-unting nasisira. Okay. Pangatlo po ay glomerulonephritis. So ito po ay inflammation ng glomeruli, yung kumbaga filter units ng kidneys. So pwedeng dulot ng infection, autoimmune disease o ibang immune reaction. So dahil sa pamabaga, nagiging leaky ang filter kaya may blood at protein po sa ihi. Pwedeng mabilis o dahan-dahang mag-progress ito sa CKD. And meron din po tayong tinatawag na polycystic kidney disease. So ito naman po ay genetic or namamana. So dito may mga cyst o parang water-filled sacs na tumutubo sa kidneys po ng mga pasyente, no? So habang lumalaki ang cyst, pinipiga nila ang normal kidney tissue hanggang humihina ang function nito over time. So, Meron din pong unknown or unidentified causes, no? So hindi ko na po nilagay dito kasi minsan kahit kompleto ang test, hindi pa rin malinaw ang exact cause. So pwedeng kombinasyon ng mild hypertension, metabolic issues, toxins, or past kidney injury na hindi napansin. So over time, nagpo-progress pa rin po ito sa CKD. So sa madaling sabi, diabetes, high blood pressure, inflammation, genetics, at unknown chronic damage ang pangunahing dahilan kung bakit humihina po ang ating kidney. Okay. Next slide po. So actually, baka may mga terms po na hindi po natin maintindihan pero explain ko po siya ng mas maliwanag. Okay. Pathophysiology of CKD. So, Doc, ano po ang pathophysiology? Ito po ay kung paano po nagsisimula ang tinatawag po natin na chronic kidney disease. So, ang pathophysiology ng CKD ay parang slow damage cycle po, no, ng kidneys. So, unti-unti silang napapagod at nasisira hanggang humihina ng tuluyan. So, nakikita nyo po yung first step po dito, ito po yung initial injury or unang pinsala. So, sa simula, may nangyayaring damage sa kidneys, pwedeng dahil sa diabetes, high blood pressure, infection o toxins. Nasusugatan ang small filtering units or nephrons sa kidneys pero hindi pa agad ramdam ang sintomas. So pangalawa po, compensatory hyperfiltration or panandali ang pagbawi ng kidney cells po natin. So dahil may mga nephron na nasira na, yung natitirang healthy nephrons ay nagdo-double effort. Mas bumibilis kumbaga ang filtration nila para bumawi sa nawala. Okay? So parang ibang empleyado ang biglang ginawang overtime lahat para matapos ang trabaho, no? So problema po sa simula mukhang okay, pero sobrang strain ito sa kidneys. Okay? Pangatlo po na step, the fibrosis and scarring or ito po yung pagkapinsala at nagkakaroon na po yung ng clot dun sa kidneys. Dahil po ito sa sobrang trabaho at stress, yung overworked nephrons, yung nephrons po na tinatawag po natin, yun po yung cells sa kidney po natin, no? Ay nasisira na rin po. So nagkakaroon po ito ng inflammation at ang normal kidney tissue ay napapalitan na po ng scar tissue or tinatawag po natin na fibrosis. So ang scar tissue ay hindi na po gumagana bilang filter. Okay? And then number 4 po, na fourth step, nagiging progressive decline na po or tuloy-tuloy na paghina. So habang dumarami po ang scarred areas, nababawasan ang working nephrons. So mas lalong bumababa ang filtration function ng kidneys na po natin dito. Ito na yung stage na may symptoms na nagmamanas, mabilis mapagod, tapos kapag pinapacheck po natin yung ihi, may protein na at eventually CKD progression to ESRD kung hindi na ma-manage. So in simple summary po, sa pathophysiology ng CKD, may initial damage, nag-o-overwork ang kidneys, which is nagkakaroon na po ng hyperfiltration, which is the number 2. And then nagpo-proceed na po siya, napapagod na at nagkakasugat ang kidneys po natin. So yun na po yung fibrosis and scarring and then unti-unting humihina na hanggang CKD progression. Yun na po yung stage 4 po natin. Okay? So, ang CKD po, may mga staging po tayo and GFR category. So, kahit hindi po tayo doktor or kung para maintindihan po natin yung pinapagawa ng mga doktor na test, pinapakuha yung creatinine or pinapacheck yung GFR, i-explain po natin, no? Para maintindihan po natin. Para pag nakita nyo po yung resulta nyo, once na test po yung doktor, alam nyo na pong i-interpret kahit in simple terms lang po. Okay, so ang KDIGO, CKD staging system ay ginagamit para i-classify ang chronic kidney disease based sa GFR. So, ang GFR po ay kidney function. Okay? Or glomerular filtration rate ang tawag po natin doon. Kung gaano nakalala ang kidney damage. So ito rin ang guide kung ano ang clinical action o gagawin sa pasyente. So kung nakikita nyo po dito, meron pong mga stages, GFR stages G1 to G5. At ano po yung mga clinical action po nila. So in summary po, ang G1 or more than 90, ito po ay normal or high. Okay? So ang kidney function po dito ay normal pero may signs of damage na po. Halimbawa, kapag nakikita po na may proteinuria na doon sa ihi or protein, doon sa kapag pinapacheck yung ihi, ang action po natin dito is dapat i-identify at i-treat ang cause. So kung may diabetes na po at hypertension yung pasyente, well, sasabihan po natin ng lifestyle modification. And dapat yearly po yung monitoring po natin dito. Okay? Meron po yung G2 which is 60 to 89 which is mild decrease. So slight pagbaba na po ng kidney function po ito, no? So, ang action po natin, dapat i-control na po natin yung blood pressure at blood sugar. And then, pinapacheck din natin yung urine protein regularly and dapat i-monitor na po natin every 6 to 12 months. Okay? Meron din po tayong G3A or 45 to 59 or mild to moderate CKD. So, may early CKD na ito. Okay? So, ang action po natin as health workers or tumutulong sa mga pamilyang may CKD, pinapa-start na po natin yung kidney protection, no? Yung mga ACE inhibitors na binibigay po ng doktor or yung mga ARBs kung indicated po, no? So, dapat ang BP po nila is strictly less than 130/80. Yun po yung target po natin. And then dapat ang diet na po nila ay low salt and then i-control na po natin yung protein intake po nila. Tapos minomonitor po natin sila every 3 to 6 months. Okay? Meron din pong G3B. So, eto po nangangailangan na po na i-refer na po natin sila sa nephrologist. Kasi po, mas mataas na po yung risk ng komplikasyon. That is why minomonitor na rin po natin dito yung electrolytes, yung potassium, saka yung bicarbonate na tinatawag. And then, ina-adjust na rin po natin yung mga medications. Dapat na po iiwas po natin yung pasyente sa nephrotoxic drugs. So, sabi ko po kanina, yung mga pag-take po natin ng mga NSAIDs or yung mga pain reliever in prolonged use, sinisira po ang kidney function po natin. And prepare for future renal replacement planning. Okay, so yung G4 naman po, which is 15 to 20, 29 na po yung GFR levels po nila. Ito na po yung tinatawag po natin na severe CKD. So malapit na sa kidney failure. So ang action po natin dito is dapat close nephrology follow-up. And then usually pinapa-start na po yung dialysis, pwedeng hemodialysis versus yung peritoneal dialysis. So, Dok, ano yung pagkakaiba? Well, i-discuss po natin mamaya, pahapyaw lang po. And then dito po, trinitreat na po natin yung complications as anemia, yung acidosis, or even bone disease ng patient. And then, usually frequent na po yung monitoring po natin kapag ganito po yung GFR levels nila. Usually 1 to 3 months po pinapacheck po natin yung kidney function. And then yung G5 po, ito na po yung tinatawag po natin na kidney failure or yung end-stage renal disease na tinatawag po natin, no? So, bakit po? Kasi ang kidney function na po ng pasyente na may G5 level is very low and usually dialysis initiation or transplant evaluation na po yung ginagawa po natin dito. And of course, more on emergency management na po sa fluid overload or hyperkalemia status po ng patient. That is why, sabi ko po kanina, kailangan na po nating i-monitor din yung potassium levels ng patient or even palliative care. So, ang key clinical principle lang po dito para maintindihan po natin dito, mas mababa ang GFR sa dugo, mas aggressive ang management. Okay? So, ang important reminder po natin dito is hindi lang ang GFR ang basehan. Tinitignan din natin kung meron pong protein sa ihi or tinatawag po namin yung the albuminuria or ano po yung nagiging cause ng CKD or ano po yung mga comorbidities kung may diabetes po ba siya na stroke, mataas ang blood pressure or CVD risk. So, maraming assessment po na ginagawa. So, in simple summary po, no, so si G1, minomonitor po natin and prevent hanggang sa G2. Si G3, start kidney protection na po and pina-follow up na po natin. Si G4, prepare po natin yung pasyente for dialysis. And G5, ito na po yung candidate ng dialysis and kidney replacement therapy. Okay. Okay, meron din po tayong tinatawag na albuminuria categories. Well, explain ko lang po ito ng ano po no, ikling-iklian lang po natin kasi more on doctors ano po ito, doctors assessment. So, ang albuminuria categories po or A1 to A3 sa KDIGO system ay nasusukat kung gaano karaming albumin or protein ang lumalabas sa ihi. So important ito dahil ang protein leak ay marker po ng kidney damage at risk ng CKD progression. So kung makikita nyo po, may mga categories which is A1, A2, saka yung A3. Okay? So, ang summary lang po nito is kapag A1 po tayo, normal or low risk po tayo na magkaroon ng kidney problems. A2 is meron na pong kidney damage or nagwa-warn na po tayo na nasa warning stage na po siya. And then A3 po, yun na po yung advanced damage. Okay? So, ang insight lang po natin dito kasi is sa CKD po, kahit normal ang GFR, pag A2 or A3 na, may kidney damage na talaga. Okay? So, mas mataas ang albumin or protein sa ihi, mas mataas ang cardiovascular at renal risk po ng pasyente po natin. Okay? Sana naintindihan po natin. Okay. Excuse me po. So, signs and symptoms. So, ang chronic kidney disease ay madalas slow at silent sa simula. Kaya maraming pasyente ang hindi agad nakakapansin. So, lumalabas lang ang sintomas kapag mas malala na ang kidney damage. So, signs and symptoms ng CKD. Okay, so meron po tayong mga maagang stage. Madalas walang sintomas. Sa early CKD po kasi, pwedeng walang nararamdaman. Okay, pero minsan may subtle signs tulad ng madaling mapagod, konting panghihina, or kung minsan nagkakaroon ng mild loss of appetite. So, pwedeng may foamy urine or protein sa ihi, no? Dito madalas na didiskubre lang sa laboratory through creatinine and urinalysis. Okay? And then meron din po tayong tinatawag na early to moderate CKD symptoms. So, habang bumababa po ang kidney function, nagkakaroon na po tayo ng pamamaga. Kaya kapansin nyo po sa may mga kidney problems, nagkakaroon na po sila ng pamamaga or tinatawag po namin sa medical na term or jargon na edema sa paa, pwede rin po sa kamay, pwede rin po sa mukha dahil hindi na ilalabas po ang excess fluid at salt and nagkakaroon po ng madaling pagkapagod or panghihina dahil sa anemia at toxin build up or kung minsan naduduwal din po or nagsusuka po yung pasyente or kung minsan nagkakaroon din po ng loss of appetite and pangangati ng balat or itchiness kahit wala naman pong nakain na kahit wala naman po silang allergies or mga nakaing nagkukos ng allergy. And then kapag malala na po, usually ang ang napapansin po ng pasyente or napapansin po namin is halos parang laging pagod or sobrang hina na po ng pasyente. Kung minsan hirap na pong huminga or nagkakaroon na po ng fluid overload sa baga and sobrang pamamaga ng katawan or sinasabi ng pasyente nagkakaroon na sila ng metallic taste sa bibig or bad breath or yun yung tinatawag namin na uremic fetor, no? So kapag na i-interview namin yung pasyente tapos iba yung parang metal yung ano po amoy ng hininga, then ano na po, usually uremia na po, no? So, into uremia, pagkalito or poor concentration. Kung minsan nagkakaroon ng muscle cramps at twitching ng muscle. So, or kung minsan kakaunting ihi o minsan naman sobrang dami dahil nagkakaroon na po ng abnormal urine output. Okay? So, sa end stage naman po, usually mahinang-mahina na talaga, tapos confusion, nagkakaroon na ng pagkahilo, or kung minsan nagkakaroon na din po ng risk of coma kung untreated po yung pasyente po natin. So, dito madalas kailangan na po ng dialysis o kidney replacement therapy. So, ang key insights po natin dito is, ang CKD po is called a silent killer kasi late na lumalabas po ang sintomas. So, kaya important po ang regular na laboratory kahit walang nararamdaman. Okay po? Kung may mga tanong po kayo, mamaya po sasagutin po natin. Okay, diagnosis and lab workup. So, usually ang CKD diagnosis po at lab workup ay combination ng blood test, urine test at imaging para malaman kung gaano kalala ang kidney damage at ano ang cause po nito. So, in-include ko lang po dito yung most common na ginagawa po natin, no, yung serum creatinine. So, ito ang pinaka-common test para sa kidney function po, no? At dito po sinusukat ang waste product sa dugo. So, na dapat ilabas ng kidney. So, kapag mataas ang creatinine, mahina po ang kidney filtration system ng kidney natin. So, dito rin po, ini-estimate natin yung GFR na sinasabi ko kanina, yung eGFR. Pero ito po ay may limitasyon. So, maaaring influence ng muscle mass, age, or even sex or late marker na minsan tumataas ang lang kapag may significant damage na. So, kung minsan po kasi, pwede rin ang pagtaas ng serum creatinine ay dahil sa kinakain ng pasyente. Kung marami siyang kinakain na karne, madalas yun po, tumataas din po ang creatinine levels po natin. Meron din po yung cystatin C. So, ito po ay mas modern at sensitive marker ng kidney function. So, dito po nami-measure po natin yung protein na galing sa cells. Stable ang kung stable ba ang production ng protein or hindi gaano naapektuhan ng muscle mass. So, usually, ito po ay confirmation ng CKD. So, mas precise po ang eGFR estimation lalo na sa elderly or low muscle mass. Okay? So, meron din po tayong urine albumin to creatinine ratio. So, ito ang pinaka-importanting urine test sa CKD screening. So, sinusukat po natin kung gaano karaming protein or albumin ang tumatagas sa ihi. So, mas accurate po ito kaysa dipstick. Okay? And then yung sabi po natin kanina, yung interpretation ng A1, A2, A3, so nakasaad po dito sa urine albumin to creatinine ratio. So meron din po tayong tinatawag na BUN or blood urea nitrogen. So dito po natin mini-measure yung waste product ng protein metabolism. So naiipon po kasi ito kapag mahina na ang kidney. So kung minsan kasama po ito yung creatinine na pinapakuha po namin sa mga, kung minsan pumupunta po kayo sa hospital, pinapakuha din po ang creatinine para ma-assess po yung kidney function po natin. And of course, kidney ultrasound or renal ultrasound. So, ito po ay imaging test para makita ang structure ng kidneys po natin. So, tinitignan po natin dito yung size ng kidney, kung maliit ba yung kidney, kasi kung maliit na po yung kidney, chronic na po yung damage. Okay? Kung minsan po nakakakita po tayo dito ng cyst or polycystic kidney disease na sinasabi po natin, or kung minsan obstruction. So kung may bato sa abdo or bato sa bato, ito po, nagko-cause din po ng pagtaas ng creatinine and ultimately, sisirain po niya yung kidney function po natin. And what else? Echogenicity. So, sign of chronic scarring. So, ito po ay non-invasive naman, no? Yung ultrasound. So, pero kailangan po natin itong ah, magawa if ever na may concerns po tayo sa kidney function. For CKD evaluation na rin po ito. And pang-anim po, usually kidney biopsy. So ito, kumbaga ang pinaka-definitive test pero hindi ginagawa sa lahat. So kumukuha po tayo ng maliit na tissue sample sa kidney and then tinitignan po natin ito sa microscope. So, ang indications po nito is kung hindi na po natin alam kung ano yung cause ng CKD, kung minsan nagkakaroon na po ng suspected glomerulonephritis, yung sabi ko po kanina, or rapid decline in kidney function. Or kung minsan nagpa-check siya, sobrang taas ng protein na po sa ihi or may nephrotic syndrome na tinatawag. So, dito po nalalaman po natin yung exact na diagnosis. And or kung mayroon inflammation or immune disease or scarring pattern po yung pasyente po natin. Okay. So, ang insight po natin dito is ang CKD diagnosis po is not just one test. So, it's a combination of function, which is the blood, kung sa damage naman sa ihi, and or even dun sa structure, which is the imaging ang basis po natin dito. Okay. Next slide po tayo. Okay. Management pillars of CKD care. Okay. So CKD management is not based on one drug. So it is a multi-target kidney protection strategy that is focused on slowing progression and preventing complications. So kung nakikita nyo po dito, kailangan po natin i-manage ang blood pressure control, which is our key priority. So ang target po natin is dapat less than 130/80 millimeters of mercury, especially if albuminuria is present. Kung may protein na po sa ihi na nakikita, dapat ang target blood pressure na po natin is less than 130/80. So, tight BP control slows CKD progression significantly. Okay, so usually, kung minsan, yung ibang doctors nagbibigay lalo na sa conventional medicine ng enalapril or lisinopril or yun po yung tinatawag natin na ACE inhibitors or ARBs like losartan, valsartan, telmisartan, etc. Lahat po na ng may sartan. Okay? So, kailangan lang po natin na i-monitor ang creatinine kapag once na nagtitake po tayo ng mga gamot kasi this may slightly rise initially because of the side effects of the drugs. And then dun sa potassium levels po, pwedeng magkaroon ng risk of hyperkalemia. Kasi sabi ko po kanina, kung mataas po ang potassium levels ng dugo or katawan po natin, it contributes to cardiac function problem. Okay? And then, reduce proteinuria as much as possible. So, kailangan po natin talagang iwasan just in case yung ano po natin, kain ng mga karne. Okay? Kasi ang karne po is protein. So, kung napapadalas po tayo ng pagkain ng mga karne, pinapataas din po niya yung creatinine levels po natin. And creatinine po is a type of protein. Okay? So, what else? Glycemic management. So, usually strict glucose control po ito that helps prevent progression. Okay? So, ang target po natin dito is individualized HbA1c. Kaya kung minsan po, nagbibigay po yung mga doctors po natin ng HbA1c na test for us to check kung kumusta po yung sugar levels for a span of 3 months. Okay? So, ang target po natin is dapat commonly 6 to 7%. And then kung minsan yung ibang doctors po nagbibigay ng SGL2 T2 inhibitors. So this is a very kidney protective, and GLP-1 yung sikat po ngayon na tinutusok na pampapayat. So usually yun po yung management ng ibang doctors po natin. para makontrol po yung sugar levels. What else? The cardiovascular protection. So, usually, statins. So, kung familiar po tayo sa statin, atorvastatin, rosuvastatin, basta may tatin po, usually, that's for lipid control. So, that's the main therapy, no? And then we have also lifestyle. So as much as possible, low salt diet and low protein diet. And kung minsan nagbibigay po tayo ng antiplatelet agents such as yung kung familiar po kayo ng aspirin, clopidogrel, etc. So usually kung natural naman po ang gusto po natin to lower down the triglycerides and lipids is usually fish oil is a good choice po, no? So or kung minsan yung mga krill oil or flaxseed oil. Maganda po sila instead of taking statin medications. And then complication management din po tayo. Usually ang problem po dito is the low erythropoietin production by the kidneys. That is why minomonitor po natin yung blood test ng may mga problema po sa kidneys dahil kung minsan mababa na po ang red blood cells and hemoglobin or even hematocrit po ng pasyente po natin. So, ang goals po natin dito is to improve energy and reduce fatigue. Okay? Or kung minsan nagbibigay din po tayo ng mga mineral and bone disorder recommendations for balancing of calcium, phosphate, vitamin D, kung minsan yung PTH po sa thyroid, pinapa-check din po natin and then minomonitor po natin. Okay? So, meron ding metabolic acidosis. So, nakalagay po sa complication management po natin. Kasi ito po ay common in advanced CKD na due to acid retention sa katawan. So, nagkakaroon po ng problem dun sa sistema ng katawan. That is why nagbibigay po tayo ng sodium bicarbonate or tinatawag po natin na ang tawag dito, yung minimix po natin at iniinom. So, baking soda, yun po yun. That is why baking soda po ay effective kapag may mga CKD problem. So, kainumin lang po natin ng sodium bicarbonate tablets or baking soda, nag-i-improve po ang kidney function. Kasi kaya po niyang i-alkalinize yung acidity ng katawan po natin. And ano pa po yung dietary adjustment. As much as possible, we should reduce acid load. So it helps slow CKD progression and improve muscle function. Okay. So medyo napadaldal na po ako, no? So maganda po kasi itong topic natin dahil pwede, kung andito po tayo, pwede po natin i-educate po yung may mga conditions na meron silang CKD or sa mga relatives para maiwasan din po natin yung iba't ibang complications po. Okay. So, there are key medications as well for CKD. So, actually, hindi ko na po pahahabain po nito, no? So, ang goal lang po natin dito ay pabagalin ang paglala ng kidney damage and protektahan ang kidneys at bawasan ang grease sa puso. So, ito po, may mga pangunahing gamot na ginagamit po ngayon, no? So, meron po tayong ACE inhibitor, yung sinasabi ko po kanina, like yung lisinopril, losartan, etc. So, pinapababa po niya ang pressure sa loob ng kidney filter. So, pinapahina niya kumbaga ang pagtatagas ng protein sa ihi. So, ang resulta, mas mababagal ang pagkasira ng kidneys. So, meron din po dito yung SGL2 inhibitor. So, ito po yung dapagliflozin, empagliflozin na binibigay po ng mga doktor. So, ito naman po, tinutulungan ang kidneys na maglabas ng sobrang asukal sa ihi at binabawasan po ang pressure sa kidney filter. So, pinapababa po niya ang inflammation at stress sa kidney. So, pinapabagal niya ang CKD progression and at the same time, protection po ito sa puso. And then, sabi ko po kanina, yung GLP-1, yung usong-uso po ngayon, yung semaglutide, liraglutide. So, pinapababa po ang blood sugar at nakakatulong magbawas ng timbang. So, binabawasan ang inflammation sa katawan. So, ang resulta po ay mas controlled ang diabetes as mas protektado ang kidneys indirectly. At yung iba ginagawa po itong pagpapayat. So, yun po yung tinuturok po na usong-uso po ngayon. Okay? And then meron po tayong finerenone. So, ito po ay pinipigilan ang epekto ng aldosterone. Ito po ang hormone na nakakasira sa kidneys at puso. So, binabawasan niya po ang inflammation at fibrosis din or yung pagkapeklat ng kidneys po natin. So, ang resulta po is mas kaunting protein sa ihi at mas mabagal ang kidney damage lalo na sa diabetic CKD po natin. So, meron din po tayong i-discuss about nanocell products po natin mamaya na makakatulong po kung meron po tayong mga chronic kidney problems or even inflammations po sa katawan. So in summary po, ito po ay supportive treatment lang po, no? So hindi siya talaga actual na gamot para i-reverse ang condition kung may sira na po yung kidney. Dahil sabi nga natin, ang AKI versus the CKD, pero kapag once na si CKD na po yung nakita po natin na based on laboratories or sintomas ng pasyente, usually ano na po yun, irreversible. Pero kayang-kaya pa po natin siyang tulungan through adjunct therapy. Like yung mga products po natin na pwedeng tumulong sa mga may chronic kidney diseases or even inflammation po sa katawan. Okay, so just to discuss this lang po no para may idea po tayo. Usually, yung iba po kasi nagko-consider ng renal replacement or yung tinatawag po natin na dialysis, no? So, meron pong dalawang klase. So, meron po tayong tinatawag na renal dialysis or hemodialysis and meron din po tayong peritoneal dialysis. So, ang renal dialysis po kapag ang kidneys na po ay hindi na kayang mag-filter ng dugo. Usually end-stage CKD na po ito, no? So kailangan ng dialysis at ito ay artificial na paraan para linisin ang dugo at alisin ang waste, extra fluid at toxin. So paano po ito ginagawa? So ang pasyente po ay pumupunta sa dialysis center, gumagamit po tayo dito ng machine at kinukuha ang dugo, nililinis, tapos binabalik po natin ito sa katawan. Usually, ginagawa po ito ng 3 times a week. Tapos usually each session po ay 3 to 5 hours. Okay? So ang simple idea lang po dito is ang external kidney cleaning via machine. Kumbaga, ang advantage lang po nito is very effective in removing toxins quickly and done under medical supervision and no daily home responsibility. So ang disadvantage lang po nito, ang hemodialysis po ay time consuming. So 3 times a week po ito. Usually 3 times a week din ang hospital visits po natin or kung minsan nagkakaroon po tayo ng big lifestyle adjustment kasi pwedeng magkaroon ng BP drops, cramps during session or vascular access needed kung magkakabit pa po tayo ng fistula or catheter, no? And then meron din po tayong tinatawag na peritoneal dialysis or ito po yung tinatawag natin na inside the body dialysis, no? So paano po ito ginagawa? Usually, may special fluid po ito or tinatawag po natin na dialysate na nilalagay sa abdomen. Okay? So ang peritoneum, yun po yung lining ng tiyan, ang nagsisilbing filter po ng waste products na lumilipat sa fluid tapos nilalabas po ng katawan. So, ito po ay araw-araw, no? Continuous process po siya, either manual exchanges like 4 to 5 times a day or machine sa gabi naman or ito po yung tinatawag natin na CCPD, no? So, ito po ay internal natural filter gamit ang lining po ng tiyan. So, ang advantage naman po dito is pwede sa bahay, mas flexible, gentle removal of toxins lang po and kung minsan nalilesen yung sudden BP drops, and mas stable ang lifestyle. Okay. And meron din po tayong last option. Ito na po yung kidney transplant. Okay, so or renal transplant. Usually, ang kidney transplantation po ay isang procedure kung saan ang sirang kidney ng patient ay pinapalitan ng healthy kidney mula sa donor. Okay, so ito ang best long-term treatment option para sa end-stage kidney disease kumpara sa dialysis. So, meron po tayong tinatawag na living donor transplant. So, ito ay kapag ang kidney ay galing sa buhay na donor, usually family member po ito, no? Or compatible donor. So, ang key points po nito is may isang healthy kidney na ibinibigay ng donor. So, ang remaining kidney ng donor ay sapat pa para mabuhay doon sa normal life. Pero around 95% success rate po ito. So, 1 year graft survival kung good match at proper care po. Okay? So, meron din po tayong tinatawag na disease donor transplant. So, ito ay kidney mula sa brain dead donor. So, halimbawa may na-aksidente and kailangan po natin ng kidney. So, ito po ay usually may mga waiting time po ito kasi per schedule po ito, no? Usually 3 to 5 years po or more depende sa availability at matching system po ng donor po natin. So, nakadepende po kasi sa blood type matching. So, or pwedeng sa mga tissue compatibility po natin or tinatawag po natin yun na HLA matching, saka yung waiting time and medical urgency. So usually nakapila na po yung mga transplant ng kidneys. And then meron din po tayong tinatawag na preemptive kidney transplant. So ito ay transplant na ginagawa bago pa magsimula ang dialysis, no? So ang idea po nito is direct transplant without dialysis stage. So around 50% lower mortality compared to patients who start dialysis first. So, kumbaga better long-term kidney function po siya and less complications from dialysis such as heart strain, infections, or even vascular issues. Okay, next slide. Okay, prevention strategies. So, ang chronic kidney disease po ay madalas untreated until late stage. Kaya ang pinaka-importante po ay prevention at early detection. So, kung nakikita niyo po dito, we should control blood pressure. So, panatilihin ang BP po natin around 130, less than 130/80 dahil ang high blood pressure ay isa sa pangunahing dahilan ng kidney damage. So, kapag uncontrolled ang BP po kasi, tuloy-tuloy ang sira sa kidney filters po natin. Kaya kailangan po natin ng regular BP monitoring or kung as much as possible, we do maintenance medication kung prescribed ng doctor and low salt diet. Pangalawa po is the managing of the blood sugar. This is for diabetics po, no? So ang target HbA1c usually po natin is dapat 6 to 7%, which is individualized. And then kapag mataas po yung asukal, mas mataas din po ang damage sa kidney or blood vessels po natin. So, as much as possible, we should have regular glucose monitoring, proper diabetes medications, or lifestyle and diet control. And pangatlo po, healthy diet. So, dapat kidney-friendly diet helps slow damage. So, ang key principle po natin dito is dapat low salt. Bakit po low salt? Because it reduces BP and fluid retention. Moderate to protein intake. Avoid excess po tayo and more on vegetables and fiber. Limit processed food. So, ang simple idea po natin dito is less salt, less strain sa kidneys. And of course, regular exercise na palagi namin sinasabi or physical activity ni Dr. Ariel. And avoid nephrotoxin. So nasabi ko na po kanina ito, as much as possible, iwasan ang mga bagay na nakakasira sa kidneys, especially kapag in pain po tayo. So, like yung mga NSAIDs na tinatawag. So, prolonged use or overuse po nito, like ibuprofen, mefenamic acid, sinisira po ang kidneys po natin. or some unregulated herbal supplements, meaning kapag hindi po na-check ng FDA, etc. And then regular lab testing po natin. Okay? Okay, so ano pong pwede nating maitulong? Okay, we have our nanocell products. Okay? So, kung nakikita niyo po ito, kailangan ko lang pong i-discuss pa isa-isa para maintindihan po natin kung paano po siya makakatulong po sa chronic kidney disease. Excuse me. So, ang berberine hydrochloride, it's a nature's blood sugar and energy support. So, usually it is extracted from Coptis chinensis, so also known as Chinese gold thread, a staple in traditional Chinese medicine. So, ang ginagawa po dito is nagkakaroon po tayo ng blood sugar support. Meron din po siyang anti-inflammatory and for energy production kasi it supports cellular metabolism and giving your body more natural energy. So, ang berberine hydrochloride po natin isn't just a supplement. So, it's a natural, science-backed way to a balance blood sugar and fight inflammation and boost energy from within. Okay. Why the hydrochloride form matters or berberine HCl? So ang special sa berberine HCl po kasi natin is that it has better absorption and efficacy dahil sa improved bioavailability po ng product po natin. So, Doc, bakit bioavailable? Kasi usually madali lang po siyang hanapin. Okay? Pero dito po sa atin kasi ang function ng berberine is it activates the AMPK. Okay? The AMPK stands for adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. So, palagi namin dinidiscuss po ito ni Doc Ariel. So, ang ginagawa po niya is ito po ang metabolic master switch na tinatawag. And it enhances the glucose uptake for better blood sugar control, and it boosts fat burning and supports weight and metabolic health. So it also increases cellular energy production. Kaya nagkakaroon po tayo ng less fatigue, more stamina. So ito po yung tumbas ng mga tinuturok po na pampapaya. So magberberine lang po tayo kahit at least twice to thrice a day, makakatulong po yun na para pumayat po tayo. Okay. Next slide, Gymnema sylvestre. So, it's a natural sugar fighter. So, andun po naka-incorporate din po sa berberine po natin. So, this is a powerful natural ingredient that works synergistically with other supplements for blood sugar control. So, it reduces sugar absorption in the intestines, so less sugar enters your bloodstream. Okay? What else? It regenerates beta cells in the pancreas. So, it helps your body naturally produce insulin and it lowers sweet cravings naturally. So making it easier to stick to a healthier diet. So Gymnema helps your body and to control your sugar. What else? It restores insulin function and curb cravings all naturally. Okay, next one, the green tea extract. So, usually, it is a metabolic and cellular support. Okay, so let's highlight this, no? So, ang green tea extract po kasi is rich in EGCG. Okay? So, the EGCG stands for Epigalo catechin gallate, which is a powerful natural compound found in green tea. So, ito po ay plant compound na andun po siya sa green tea na kapag ininom po natin, ina-activate din po niya yung AMPK, it improves the mitochondrial activity in the body so our cells will generate more effectively, it enhances insulin sensitivity, and acts as a powerful antioxidant. Okay. So, ito po yung nanocell advantage po natin, no? So, it's high purity plant extract, which means pure, potent, and effective. And it has also synergistic botanicals, no? Uh, it works together with other natural compounds for better results, enhanced bioavailability, so your body absorbs it more efficiently, so you get the maximum effect, and clinically inspired and ethically sourced. So it is designed based on science and responsibly produced, and a nanocell quality, of course. So this is a trusted standard for purity, potency, and consistency. Okay. So here's why berberine is so impressive. So ang dosage po natin is 2 to 3 times a day. So that's a 500 milligram clinically studied and effective. So this is comparable to metformin. Okay? Because it regulates also blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity, and supports metabolism. Okay? So let's reset, recharge, and renew. Okay, so nanocell berberine is premium. So as we all know, it's science-backed and truly effective. So perfect for anyone who wants better energy, healthier metabolism, and long-term wellness. Okay, let's proceed to the next slide. So spirulina, okay, that's the nature's superfood. So spirulina is often called a superfood for a reason, that it's one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Okay? And it offers a very practical solution to everyday nutritional gaps. Okay, what it matters. So, in many people, even those who eat regularly, there's still hidden malnutrition. So, there are low protein intake, micronutrient deficiencies, poor diet. What else? Poor diet, of course, due to quality of of convenience foods, no? So, nagkalat lang po dyan yung mga convenience foods po natin. So, this is where spirulina becomes powerful. So, what spirulina provides is high quality plant protein, which supports muscle, energy, and recovery, rich in vitamins and minerals, and supports immunity and detox pathways. So it helps improve energy and reduce fatigue. Okay, instead of buying multiple supplements or expensive foods, spirulina provides multiple nutrients in one simple, affordable source. So that is why it's considered affordable, convenient, high impact for daily nutrition. And spirulina is not just a supplement, no? It's a nutritional safety net that helps fill the gaps in your daily diet. Okay, next slide. So, okay, most for the least cost. So if you're looking for a maximum results at the least cost, this is one of the simplest systems you can follow. So with just 12 tablets a day, you're already covering your nutrition gaps, your detox support, your energy and recovery needs. So instead of buying multiple products separately, sabi ko nga po kanina, you're giving your body a complete, efficient support system all in one routine. So most benefits for the least cost, just 12 tablets a day to support your entire system. Okay, so for those who want a practical and cost-effective approach, well, a structured intake of around 12 tablets daily can already support key areas such as your nutrition, detox, or even your energy, especially when combined with proper lifestyle habits. Okay. So this is simple, consistent, and complete, and mura. So because health doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be done daily. Okay. Konti na lang po ito. So not all spirulina brands are equal. So usually spirulina is powerful, but the quality of our source, the nanocell source matters. So not all brands are processed the same, and not all deliver the same level of nutrients. So, why high quality spirulina matters? So, a good spirulina source provides dense nutrition, anti-inflammatory support, immune support, energy support, And we have that powerful natural compounds. So what makes our spirulina, nanocell spirulina, unique on its pigment-based nutrients? Because we have this chlorophyll. So it supports natural detox pathways. We have also the phycocyanin, which is a strong antioxidant and anti-inflammatory uh, property. What else? The carotenoids, the red and yellow, no? So it protects the cells from oxidative damage. These compounds help protect our body at the cellular level. So spirulina doesn't clean your blood, okay, directly. So, but it supports liver function, antioxidant activity, and reduction of oxidative stress. So, which indirectly helps your body process and eliminate unwanted substances more efficiently. Okay. So, next slide. So what are you feeding your body? So let me ask you something simple. So what are you feeding your body every day? No? Because spirulina is not just a supplement. So it's one of the most nutrient-dense superfoods in the world. It delivers vitamins, minerals, and protein in one simple source. So helping support energy or even immunity and recovery. So if you want a simple way to upgrade your health, don't just eat more, eat smarter. So, we should start with spirulina. Okay. Meron pa pala. Last na po to, konting-konti na lang. So, the Ultima Stem Plus. So, usually, Ultima Stem Plus is a cellular support supplement designed with one main focus, helping our body function more efficiently at the level where aging actually begins our cells. Okay? So, the key active concept, as we all know, is it's more on we have NMN support. Okay, so it contains the NMN or the nicotinamide mononucleotide, which is widely studied in the field of healthy aging because it supports the body's natural NAD plus or the NAD pathways. No, so it's essential for cellular energy production, DNA repair, mitochondrial function. So as we age, these levels naturally decline. Okay. So, well, I need to clarify on this, no? Not the Ultima Stem Plus is not only a stem cell activator because it is described as supporting the body's natural regenerative signaling pathways, which are involved in how the body maintains and repairs tissues over time. So that does not mean it creates stem cells directly. So, but rather supports the body's natural recovery and cellular renewal environment. Okay, so as you can see, we have a 90 capsules per bottle and it's designed as a daily cellular nutrition support system. Okay, so, well, the USP, it's not just a stem cell. So let me explain clearly because most people think anti-aging supplements are about just one ingredient, no? Sa atin po napakarami, kung nakikita nyo po dito, no? Yung iba po kasi, ang mahal-mahal na, tapos iisa lang or dalawa lang yung content, yung sa atin affordable, yet, ano po, maganda po yung pag-formulate ng ginagawa po natin, no? So, ang Ultima Stem Plus po is not just about stem cells or NMN alone. So, what makes it powerful is the synergistic combination, no, of natural compounds working together inside our body. So, when these ingredients are combined, they don't act in isolation. So, kumbaga, they create a multi-level support system for cellular health. So that is why Ultima Stem Plus is different. So it's not just a supplement with one function, it's a synergistic cellular support formula designed to help your body perform better, recover better, and age better from within. Okay? And then, okay, so meron pa pala, plus. Okay, so here's a clean, credible, and a safe way to present this information, no? So we have this Aronia melanocarpa or the Ultima 17. So Aronia melanocarpa, also known as black chokeberry, is one of the most antioxidant-rich berries known in nutrition science. So, it is well recognized for its ability to help the body manage oxidative stress, which is, sabi nga namin ni Dr. Ariel Bayra, it's a process linked to cellular aging and inflammation. So, it's rich in powerful antioxidants, helps combat oxidative stress, and supports overall cellular function. It has a very high ORAC as well, or the oxygen radical absorbance capacity, no? So this is a scoring which measures the antioxidant potential of foods. And then this means it has a strong capacity to help neutralize free radicals that contribute to cell damage. So Aronia melanocarpa is valued for its high antioxidant content, supporting the body in managing oxidative stress and promoting overall wellness. So kung gusto nyo pong magpabata, ang sikreto po natin is Ultima Stem Plus. Excuse me po. Okay, so to conclude, kidney disease is a progressive but manageable condition when it is detected early and properly addressed. So the key to slowing its progression is not just one intervention, but a combination of consistent medical care, lifestyle modification, or even patient awareness. So effective kidney management always starts with the basics. So sabi ko po kanina, good control of blood pressure, stable blood sugar levels, ano pa po, healthy diet, regular physical activity or exercise, avoidance of medications or substances that can harm the kidneys. So these simple but powerful habits reduce ongoing stress on the kidneys and help preserve function for as long as possible. So alongside standard medical therapy, there are also evidence-based supportive supplements such as nanocell supplements that may help reduce oxidative stress and inflammation and support overall cellular and metabolic health. While these are not replacements for prescribed medications, they can serve as an adjunct tools to optimize overall wellness when used appropriately and under guidance. So most importantly po, kidney health is something that requires long-term commitment, no? So regular screening, follow-up, or even consultations, or even early intervention that can make a significant difference in outcome. So many patients can maintain good quality of life when management is done consistently and correctly. So as we end this discussion, I encourage everyone to take kidney health seriously, not only for those already diagnosed, but also for prevention. So take care of your kidneys today because they take care of you every single day. Thank you for listening, and I wish everyone better health and stronger kidneys moving forward. Thank you po.
Ayan, dear partners, Doc, first, I would like to acknowledge um, your support and very clear explanation, no, on how can we identify kung anong stages na yung kidney. So ngayong araw na to, sobrang dami ko ring natutunan, Doc. Around of applause or virtual clap for Doc CJ. Ayan, dear partners, no. So very clearly, Doc, kala ko pag automatic na dialysis, may mga stages pa pala yan, no, bago tayo makarating dun sa final, ano, parang graduation. Graduation
Yeah, yeah.
video. So, ang dami palang stages pa rin. So, ngayon ko rin nalaman na very informative nga po ito, no? Thank you. Ayan, nag-comment si BFE Victor, no? Kasi talagang na-open yung mind namin, Doc. So, parang lalo kaming naging aware sa magiging mga dapat naming gawin or i-consume, no? Ngayon ko lang din nalaman na pati yung protein, pag over-protein ka, kasi naka-protein diet. Naka-low carb ako, sa nagpo-protein minsan overload ako, so hindi pala dapat, no? And yung sodium talaga and salt sa pagkain, medyo iwas-iwas talaga. So yun, I would like to acknowledge the presence of our dear Dr. Ariel Vaira, andyan po siya. Thank you so much. Are
Hi,
very
Doc
supportive.
Ariel.
Si Doc Bong andyan din. And nakakatuwa, ang dami nating participants ngayon sa Zoom, Doc. And dahil very informative ito, we are now opening our question and answer sa ating chat group. Sa ating chat or sa ating inbox. Pwede na po kayo mag-message para sa inyong katanungan. Even yung nasa live po natin, kung meron po kayong mga katanungan or issues and concern na gusto pa pong malaman, kung paano ma-address ang inyong CKD. At the same time, kung anong solution, yun nga, napakaganda ng sinabi ni Doc kanina, no? Berberine, USP, so yan yung mga nakatulong sa atin. And to reload our nutrients, taking spirulina. Pero Doc, di ba, ang spirulina is known, ako, pwede pong magtanong, Doc.
Yes, yes, of course po.
Very high in protein kasi siya, di ba? So,
Yes po.
paano ang pag-take po namin ng spirulina if we have friends or relatives na may CKD issues po?
Okay. So, well, natanong ko ito kay Dr. Sheila when pumunta po tayo sa farm day po natin doon sa Spirulina Farm. So sabi niya, ah depending dun sa tablets po natin, no? So, kaya din po kasing i-process ng kidney function po natin as high as 60 tablets a day kung nakakonsume po natin or tayo dun sa nanocell spirulina supplement po natin. Since ang protein na meron po sa spirulina po natin is kayang i-metabolize ng katawan. Pero ang recommendation po natin is as parang maintenance dose po natin, just what I've presented a while ago, it's more on kahit at least 12 tablets lang, okay na po yun to sustain yung metabolic function ng katawan. And at the same time, para ma-sustain natin kung ano yung kailangan ng body na like yung mga nutrients na andon. So definitely 12 tablets po yung nirecommend ni Dr. Sheila. Pero sabi po niya nung tinanong ka regarding about CKD or kidney disease, sabi niya she's taken nga daw po ng more than 100 tablets a day and there will be no problem with the issues or problem with the kidney function. So, kaya pong i-eliminate ng body po natin yung protein na andun po sa spirulina natin. Unlike
Ay,
yung kapag gumamit po tayo ng well, there are synthetic medications talaga na nakakasira po ng kidneys. So, prolonged use of some synthetic medications such as yung na-discuss ko po kanina like NSAIDs or yung mga
yes,
pain relievers, actually
yes.
mas masama pa po
Damaging
yun
talaga
kesa
siya.
yung yes po, kesa yung spirulina. So yung tanong mo, Ma'am Hana, there will be no problem sa
Thank you,
kahit
Doc.
chronic kidney disease as per dun sa natanong ko din kay Doc Sheila that time na there will be no problem kahit end stage renal disease na po yung patient po natin.
Ayan, very clear. Thank you, Doc. At least now, nalaman namin, no, na even very high protein ang atang spirulina, we can still consume kung ano yung requirement na kailangan din po ng katawan natin. Kasi syempre, pag nagda-dialysis, Doc, di ba? Kalimitan talaga ang mga after dialysis patients, sobrang nanghihina sila eh.
Yes, yes po, opo.
Opo. Kaya kailangan din tayo mag-reload ng nutrients sa ating katawan para during the process, the body can still survive and um, ma, ma-meet pa rin yung nutrients na kailangan natin. No? Okay,
Yes
so
po.
Doc, meron tayong question po ngayon from Cyrus. Sabi niya, what is best recommended for hyperthyroidism?
Okay, so siguro yung mga iba po
Very
hindi
good.
familiar
Ilang
sa
question?
hyperthyroidism, no? So hyperthyroidism is a condition wherein the thyroid gland becomes overactive and produces excessive amounts of thyroid hormones such as mainly yung T3 na sinasabi po namin or yung triiodothyronine and the T4 or the thyroxine level. So these hormones po kasi regulate metabolism. So, nire-regulate din po niya yung heart rate, temperature, energy production, and many body functions. Yun nga lang, kung hyperthyroid yung patients, kailangan po natin ma-assess properly. Baka naman po meron po siyang tinatawag na Graves' disease. So, ito po yung most common na autoimmune cause ng hyperthyroidism. Or kung minsan nakikitaan namin ng toxic nodular goiter, or even thyroid adenoma, thyroiditis, or inflammation of the thyroid. So with me, as per Sir Cyrus, no, we recommend first talaga is Carbacrol. Okay, that's an anti-inflammatory supplement. Uh, and pangalawa, we need to check on the thyroid function test. So sabi ko po kanina, mas magandang makita muna natin. And kung just in case man na-verify po talaga na mataas po yung T3, then definitely we can give treatment recommendation. Pero ang maganda po, kung nanocell po yung gagamitin, first option ko po is si Carbacrol, 3 times a day po. Pangalawa po si USP, once to twice daily. And then, check po muna natin yung laboratory test. And then, we can design a program na specific po para dun sa patient. Kasi kung nakita na natin and na-verify po talaga na may issues sa thyroid, then definitely we can give medications if needed. Apo.
Ayun, thank you, Doc. Ayan, to
Apo.
all our viewers and members, tama po, sabi po ni Doc, we are giving protocol to those who wants to, to address kung ano yung specific protocol na kailangan ninyo para ma-address po yung inyong mga illnesses and conditions. Provided you should need to have the laboratory, complete blood chem, para ma-evaluate po ng ating mga doctors, no? So yan po ay tulong ni NanoCell para po sa ating mga distributors and mga consumers na gustong ma-improve yung mga health conditions nila, no? And we have a message from Miss Miriam. Thank you, Doc CJ, for this very interesting topic po. Actually, I myself is now experiencing inflammation on both my left and right foot with seldom itchiness and little bula on my urine. Ito nga yung sinasabi kanina, medyo may prot or may ano po yung sa urine. No? However, I am taking USP 2 times a day, berberine 3 times a day, spirulina 5 times a day, Bloom, Gluta 2 cups before bedtime, and Carbacrol 1 soft gel per day, and Equisy 2 times a day. But it keeps alarming for me to consult now with a nephrologist based on your explanation po.
Okay.
Ayan.
So that's a good question po, no. Well, alam din ni Dr. Ariel na may mga condition talaga na ganito. Well, as much as possible, we don't recommend pa to consult a nephrologist. Siguro ah, na ano ka lang dun sa mga diniscuss po natin kanina. Like, halimbawa, may foamy urine, it seems na parang baka may CKD not necessary naman po na ganun, no? Pinakamaganda po nating gawin, Ma'am Miriam, one, no? So, definitely, punta ka lang sa NanoCell Bloom page po natin, and if you have any laboratory results po, just let us know. So, free naman po yun. So we just have to give you protocol just in case na may problem po. Or kung wala pa pong request, then just let us know po. Gagawa po kami para sa inyo. And then you do your laboratory works. And then kapag lumabas po yung results, i-interpret po natin. And wag pong kabahan, Ma'am Miriam. Baka kasi based sa discussions natin kanina, parang ay, meron akong ganito, baka may checklist po kayo na meron sa lahat. Not all naman na ganun. Pero those are the signs and clinical symptoms kasi na kino-consider po natin kung meron na talagang kidney issues. So, ang first step po natin, Ma'am Miriam, message nyo po kami, and then kung may results po, then we can interpret po sa inyo. And then we will give necessary protocols po depending po dun sa condition nyo. Yung itchiness po kasi nasabi nyo, dun sa inflammation on both of my left and right foot, sabi nyo po, is usually baka tumaas lang yung sugar. Kasi kung minsan, or baka nakakain po kayo na meron po kayong allergies doon sa food na yon. So maraming factors po, no? And we need to consider that. Pero with me po kasi, pinakamaganda talaga is prevention is better than cure. So, mas magandang i-assess po natin muna before we conclude na meron po talaga tayong condition para mabigyan ho namin kayo ng tamang medications or supplementation and proper protocols po. Thank you po.
Yes, ayan, Ma'am Miriam. Hopefully, nasagot po lahat ng inyong katanungan ni Doc. And may question po tayo, Doc, kay BFA Victor. Sabi niya po, what is the best time to take berberine? Is it before lunch or after meal? I mean, sorry, before meal or
Before
after
or
meal?
after? Actually,
Yes.
yeah, medyo puzzled kami dyan sa question na yun kasi ang dami pong nagtatanong po sa amin ni Dr. Ariel. So, ang berberine po kasi kapag tinake po natin na empty stomach, mas faster po yung absorption. So, ang nangyayari po kung gusto nyo pong fastly absorb yung supplement sa body, then we can take it on an empty stomach. Pero nagwo-work naman po siya kahit with meals. Yun nga lang, ang problem ko po na na-encounter kasi when I was consulting a patient, may metformin siya and then sinabay niya itong si berberine. And we know that berberine also lowers down the blood sugar level. So kung may mga like mga maintenance medication or even insulin injections, then definitely hold lang muna tayo ng kahit at least mga 1 hour to 2 hours after na i-incorporate po natin, introduce yung berberine po para hindi po mag-synergistically combined yung synthetic and ang action ng synthetic drugs such as metformin or kung naka-insulin injection, pinapababa po niya talaga yung blood sugar. Tapos dadagdagan pa po natin ng berberine, so mas lalong bababa po yung blood sugar levels natin. That is why dun sa mga hindi sensitive, pwede pong with meals na iti-take po si berberine. Pero kung habol po natin is faster absorption, then definitely we can take it on an empty stomach po.
Ayan,
Thank you
clear
po.
na, no? Kasi nag-overload kami din kain sa Korea. After meal na kami, Doc, nagbe-berberine.
Yeah.
Siguro dahil na pag
Opo.
nakita na namin yung pagkain, no? So, parang fiesta na eh. Kaya, ibis na maalala namin, oops, nagbe-berberine ba kami after meal? Ngayon, very clear. So, we need to take berberine para before meal, para mas effective ito, no, sa atin, para mag-function na siya bago tayo mag-overload ng kain ng carbs at ng sugar. Di ba? So, yan. And nabanggit ni Doc kanina, no? So, lahat ng beware and be careful. So, lahat ng intake natin, lahat ng mga ibang synthetic medicines and ibang supplement din na nakaka-damage, no? Nagko-cause pala ng damage sa ating kidney. Actually, marami. Kaya nga, ito yung ini-elaborate din po namin, Doc, no? Kasi maraming mga lumalabas na produkto online, hina-hype
Yes.
nila yung mga produkto online na hindi tayo nakaka-sure kung mga tinitake o mga nasa online ay FDA approved. Pangalawa, is it safe to consume o bagay po ba sa atin? Kasi sinasabi nga po natin dito, not all supplements are created equal at hindi lahat din ng supplement ay angkop para sa atin. So, yung
Yes.
ibang product kasi sa ibang minsan no, yung mga nasa online din ngayon, mga galing din sa ibang bansa, no, ini-import at dinadala dito. So, kung wala tayong proper knowledge and with regards to FDA guidelines sa safety and required energy, nutrients intake ng isang katawan natin. So, minsan yung mga supplements galing abroad are masyadong matataas po yung mga tinatawag na reninol hindi siya compatible sa ating mga katawan. That will cause damage to our liver, to our kidney, no? And yung ibang prolonged use of supplement na mga synthetic din can form, di ba may mga kidney stones forming na mga supplements po. So be careful. So kaya laging ang concept ni Nanay Salit, all natural, plant-based kasi parang in addition lang to sa ating mga everyday needs na nutrients na nakakasiguro kayo na natural, no? Hindi synthetic and will not cause any damages to our other organs or hindi siya magpo-form ng mga kidney stones later on, no? Yun nga. So napakaganda po ng topic po natin ngayon. Any more questions about dito sa ating CKD and how to resolve? At beneficial nito sa lahat ng mga nakapakinig, Doc. Maraming salamat ulit kasi na-enlighten kami kung ano, medyo naging aware lalo. So it's all start with the basic nga, no, sabi ni Doc, lifestyle. So yung ating habit. So, yan. It always start to us. So, yung kung ano yung mga in-intake natin, it will cause lahat yan sa ating sarili. So, any more questions po, dear partners? Sabi lang po nila, thank you, Doc CJ. Thank you so much. Sabi ni BFE Victor. Ayan. Thank you for very informative explanation, Doc. Ayan. So, online po, if there are questions, you can type yung mga nasa online po natin ngayon, yung mga leaders natin na nasa online, they can copy the questions para ma-open up dito sa ating Zoom at masagot ni Doc. Ayan. Maraming salamat po, Doc, sabi ni iPhone. Hindi ko siya ma-acknowledge, iPhone. Ayan, dear partners, thank you so much for another very informative and beneficial. Thank you for joining us once again. At doon sa mga nasa ating FB Live, maraming salamat din po sa inyong pag-tune in sa ating NanoCell Bloom page. Continue to share and like our page po para mas maraming makadinig o makaalam ng good news about NanoCell. Sabi nga nila, natural na product is like taking lang yung supplement na natural sa ating katawan para lang po itong kumain lang tayo ng food, natural food, plant-based, at yun nga sabi ko, meron akong upcoming mga vlog, abangan nyo rin po. Tungkol po yan sa efficacy and total, kung paano natin ma-identify ang product safety, no? Ng tamang supplement para aware po tayo na hindi lahat ng lumalabas sa online, yung mga nagpapabudol dyan, huwag kayong magpabudol, no? Kasi minsan, kung di kulang, sobra, o mali, o hindi angkop para sa'yo. So, maging maingat, mapagmadyag, iba ang may alam. So, lagi kayong makinig sa aming Thursday night para sa ating Product Science Forum with our doctors, no? Legit. We have international speaker doctors and international medical graduate doctor and integrative as well, combining Eastern and Western medication from natural healing to science-based back solution, no? We will provide po sa inyo. Ayan po, sponsored and hatid po sa inyo ng NanoCell. So dear partners, members, leaders all over Philippines, Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat sa pag-tune in sa ating Zoom session ngayong gabi. And Doc CJ, maraming salamat. Very supportive yan. So, yung mga health and wellness caravan natin sa mga iba't ibang lugar, kindly inform lang po kung gusto niyo pong mabisita po namin kayo, mapuntahan namin kayo sa inyong community. Pwedeng-pwede po. Kasama po natin ang ating mga partner doctors. Doc Byra, maraming salamat. Doc Bong, Doc Tim, thank you so much, dear
Thank you,
leader.
Dr. Ariel, Byra, thank you po. And all the doctors here and our audience po. Maraming salamat po.
Ayan, thank you so much. Maraming salamat and God bless everyone. Stay healthy and safe. And of course, continue to use NanoCell product para ma-feel nyo po ang effect. Di ba? Kagaya namin. Hawak ako. God bless everyone and good night.